Hello and welcome to Fresh Face Comics, the comic book podcast where a lifelong comic book reader guides his friend through the world of comics for the first time. My name is Joey Morgan, the aforementioned lifelong reader. With me, as always, is Jacob Licklider, the aforementioned newbie.
I'm forgoing my usual bit for this episode to give a blanket content warning. This episode of Fresh Face Comics is going to be discussing suicide, specifically the suicide of a child, as well as themes of mind control, among others. So if any of that is triggering, please be aware that that is what we're going to be discussing, because
it is also specifically the suicide part is specifically in one issue, so we'll talk about warnings when we get up to those things, and of course the whole mind control thing is a bigger arc. But again, we'll forewarn when we get to those things.
Yes.
But otherwise, we're talking about Wonder Woman today. We are back with Wonder Woman by George Perez, Volume 5.
Volume 5! We are so close to finishing this run.
We've done 60-odd issues of this run, which is absolutely insane. Or I guess, no, we're at 59, I guess. It's 57 and 2 annuals, I guess we're at.
Yeah, we're at 59.
Yeah. 59.
Just under 60.
Not bad, though. Not bad. We've done a lot of this run, and you certainly feel it at this point, I think.
You feel it, yeah.
Not to say it's bad. That's I don't think that's us like dragging it immediately. But getting into it, yeah. Tell us, being the fresh face as always, what is Wonder Woman by George Perez, Volume 5 about?
Honestly, you could retitle this "Prelude to the War of the Gods" pretty much. War of the Gods is the big. George Perez wanted to write a 50th anniversary story for Wonder Woman, and DC usual editor of the book, Karen Berger, I believe, was out on maternity leave. So Perez had to advocate for himself. And
when you don't have Karen Berger to defend you, you're kind of fucked.
Yes. Now, I believe he may have had Mark Waid as an associate editor, but DC in the 90s, I don't think really cared about Wonder Woman. I don't think they did. Honestly,
despite the fact that they were in, they were coming straight off of probably its most successful run ever at that point.
A run that DC would cut short in the next volume. More of that when we cover Volume 6.
And isn't that just comics publishing in a nutshell?
Yes. But
oh, man.
I will say, Volume 5, first off, Mandy Newell leaves the book partway through.
Yep.
So Perez is back on scripting everything.
Yep.
Jill Thompson is largely the artist for most of the book. There are a couple of issues where it's some guest artists, but it's Jill Thompson, so her style is great. But this is a book that it's mostly, so it's 12 issues.
Mm-hmm.
And I would argue 11, I mean, technically all 12, but really it's the back 11 that is all one just continuous build.
Did you just say it's 12 issues and the back 11 are the problem?
No, it's not the problem. It's that the back 11 is basically one giant arc.
Yeah,
technically. Well,
there is some fun Dr. Psycho stuff in there.
There's some very fun Dr. Psycho. This is a book with some great stuff. I think the big issue is that it opens with one of the best things George Perez has ever written.
Yeah.
And George Perez, sadly, George Perez and Mindy Newell have ever written, because Newell's co-writing the first issue.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, not so much. I mean, there's tonal whiplash. After that, it becomes solid with a problem of some of our characters start acting weird, and there's just a lot of weird things that are clearly.
And the weirdness does have a purpose, but one that I would argue takes way too long to be revealed.
I didn't know the twist was coming, and I was just like, why is everyone acting like this?
Yeah,
my brain. The problem in my brain is mainly was Perez being overworked on another book, or like did Mindy Newell leave Perez in the lurch? What happened here? Because there's a stretch where all our characters are essentially out of character in very specific ways. Now, once the twist happens, it makes sense. And I argue the last couple of issues when the pandemonium was where the pandemonium breaks and we end on essentially a cliffhanger to go into war, into what will be War of the Gods, which I believe that miniseries is.
It's the entirety of the last volume.
Basically, yeah. That and
here's the thing: there are two trades. There's Wonder Woman by George Perez, Volume 6, and Wonder Woman: War of the Gods. They collect the exact same issues.
Right.
There's not a single change. I don't think
because it basically is the end of the Perez run. And there's stuff being set up. It also, I will say, it doesn't help that issue 49 is just a recap issue.
Yep, that one fucking killed me. I'm not ashamed to say I fucking skimmed the shit out of that thing.
I read it, but I'm like, like within a couple of pages, I have very few notes on 49 because I'm like, this is just recap.
If you've read the run up to this point, you don't need it at all.
No, I'm glad they collected it, and I will say the art is very pretty. It's I believe it's Colleen Duran on 49.
I believe that is correct.
Yeah, it's Colleen Duran doing issue 49. So it's it's very well drawn. It's very much trying to catch people up for people who might pick up issue 50. But having that in the middle messes with the pace of things, makes it weird, and it's very much if you're reading this in a trade, like people are going to be reading. Obviously, Perez didn't know that this was going to be collected.
That wasn't really the industry at the time.
Books were only just starting to be collected.
When you collected things and you collected like specific stories or specific sets of stories, 49 wouldn't really be collected in a complete collection of everything at the time. That just wasn't how you did it. But you do now, and so we have to deal with those things these days.
Yes.
And that's okay. I mean, whatever. Anyway, shall we do some questions?
Some more questions, yeah.
All right. First off, from our friend Andrew on Discord, friend of the podcast, Andrew says, "Where is it? I have a lot of Discord messages today. There we go. All right. After reading both a significant amount of Teen Titans and Wonder Woman, do you feel Perez's strengths are better showcased in a solo book or a team book?" I mean, first off, it's worth noting every book is a team book, really. But I think Andrew is referring to when like
a solo character versus a team of characters.
Yeah.
I think Perez. I mean, Perez gets to shine more through his Wonder Woman than Titans because Perez in Titans is working so closely with Marv Wolfman. And they work amazingly as a team, and they complement each other nicely, and they elevate each other. But it's kind of the Good Omens effect, right? When you're reading the book Good Omens, you're reading the combined work of Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett, and they blend together. Whereas when you're reading Wonder Woman by Perez, it's just Perez.
Yeah. So I don't think they're really comparable because it's a totally different structure to making the book. Wonder Woman like exclusively comes from Perez, and he'll have people that like help him out on these things occasionally. But like when he does Titans, it's both him and Wolfman making that story collaboratively. And I don't think it's difficult to say because I'm not sure Perez could succeed as much doing Titans alone. Just the same as I'm not sure that Wonder Woman would be as good if it was him and Wolfman together. So it's hard to compare. I think overall, if we're just talking about Perez's talents best being utilized, probably Wonder Woman. But again, it's because it's the Perez show. He doesn't have to really share the spotlight when he's doing Wonder Woman.
And the 2 volumes that Perez drew for this book, it helps that it was 5 years after he started drawing Titans, so his style had already.
And also, he was only plotting early on.
Yeah, he wasn't scripting.
Yeah. So So there's that. Anyway, and then our only other question today, one that is interesting to talk about. I can speak today. Is from our friend Jamie at Jamie_season7 on Twitter. Says better or worse than Volume 4? Definitely worse.
Yeah, weaker.
Probably the weakest volume of the whole run for me. But yeah, it's, and again, it's not that it's bad. And I know you weren't the biggest fan of Volume 4. I quite like it still.
So I gave Volume 4 like an 8.5 out of 10. I would give this a 7. Like,
yeah, I think a 7's not bad, but also for the high quality that the whole run has been at so far, it's a bit of a drop.
Like the first 3 volumes are like 9s and 10s up there. It's just some of the best stuff we've read.
Volume 5 also is that I think you've mentioned it already, but Volume 5 is also at the disadvantage of opening on one of the best issues of the entire run and then the rest.
Probably, like one of the best issues DC's potentially ever put out.
It's really fucking good. Yeah.
Within a month of putting out another of their best issues ever over in the Sandman, dealing with similar subject matter, and it's fascinating. It's heavy stuff, but it's fascinating. It somehow got approved by the Comics Code Authority.
Yeah, that's the most baffling part about that all. But yeah, it's pretty great. And then unfortunately, the rest of the volume is just fine. It's fine.
Good.
It's fine.
It really suffers not knowing the twist, like in advance. Oddly enough, I'd argue, because
although I will say also even on, because I was rereading it, even on reread knowing the twist, I'm not sure it actually helped it that much.
Interesting. I will say one thing that does stay consistent is the character work.
Always.
I think Perez really does some great stuff with the supporting characters and making me care about a lot of these supporting characters when our main characters are being weird. And I will say, like, the last issue, I think, is a tick in the upward direction.
Definitely. It's
maybe even the last 2 issues, because there's some stuff in 56 that I really like too. Because again, it's difficult to talk about without getting into spoilers.
But I guess that's a great segue. Let's get into spoilers. As always, if you're not listening to spoilers with us, you can check out our socials linked in the description below. You can also buy the book we talked about today, and the book we'll be talking about next time in the description below through Amazon links. That'll all be there. If you want to find out what we are covering on the podcast next time, you can skip to the final, usually 5-ish minutes of the episode, and that'll be there.
I have a guess this time. I have a solid guess.
Interesting. But yeah, I guess we'll see if Jacob was right or wrong in the next, who knows how long it'll take us. We might just skim through it. Who knows? But with that said, let's get into spoilers. Starting off, do I want to get into spoilers?
Wonder Woman number 46. 46. Okay. My brain 46. Wanted to say 47. It's 46.
It ends on 57.
That's probably why, because I finished reading, oddly enough, about an hour before we recorded, because it has been just because the last episode was recorded pretty close, and then this is a pretty thick book.
Hopefully we'll get better at that next time. Don't worry. So I think the next episode will be a breeze to get through, honestly.
So content warning: this is the suicide issue, and we are dealing with the suicide of a child. Now, I will
the cover also thankfully gives you a warning as well. Literally the dictionary definition of suicide is on the cover, which just kind of tells you exactly what you're in for right out the gate. And also beautiful cover. Oh my god, I adore this cover. I think it is like pretty much entirely made up of images from the issue itself.
I mean,
that's not a bad thing. It's used beautifully. But sorry, I think you were going to say something before.
The cover is Perez and Thompson blending their styles really well of art. And Yeah, this one was really intense.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm surprised they got away with some of it. Because this is a heartfelt look at mental health and suicide. Published in September of 1990, and Perez actually hits it Perez and Mindy Newell hit it really well.
Mm-hmm.
So let's not beat around the bush. Lucy Spears, the bratty friend of Vanessa, has committed suicide.
Yeah.
And this issue is 20 pages of our characters trying to process that.
Mm-hmm.
It's an issue where Diana takes
present,
a back seat, but
still plays a very important role in the issue.
And it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot to process. This was one where I read it, and then I was like, right, I need to put the book down because I cannot go into issue 47 with a very different tone.
Yeah, because it is very different. There's nothing really quite like this. Even the darkest the run has gotten so far with the Mindy Mayer issue doesn't quite hit this. While dark, it's fucking beautiful. This issue made me tear up at the end, which has not happened to me with a comic book in a long time. But yeah, this is it's a lot. It's a lot. So we tell this story through present day scenes and flashbacks to Lucy leading up to her suicide. We obviously use most of this issue from the we do most of this issue through Vanessa's point of view, as she is our main character, sort of dealing with the grief of this. We open on the where the story gets its name from, chalk drawings. It's Lucy and Vanessa drawing themselves in chalk and on a sidewalk, and all this is played alongside Lucy's funeral. We then catch up with Diana in a flashback.
Well, you have the immediate post-funeral where, again, what makes this work is the characterization. You have this moment between Julia and Diana, where Julia is just commiserating the fact that Vanessa is too young for this. This is essentially the first death that Vanessa's experienced that hit really close to home.
Mm-hmm. And I love Diana's response: "Is anyone ever old enough?" And so we catch up with some flashbacks here. We see what Diana and Julia have been up to this whole
in
time.
Turkey, and that was, again, last volume. That was Julia's plot.
Mm-hmm.
When and we end on Julia getting the call from her daughter that something has happened.
So we get another flashback then, back to the drawing of the chalk. And there's just some dialogue here that they play here, and they have at the very end of the issue too. It closes out the issue. I would read it out loud for example's sake, but I can't quite. I know I wouldn't be able to articulate why this dialogue hits, because it's two teenage girls talking, and I wouldn't be able to read that out in a meaningful way. I know, but it's importantly one of the most important things about this issue. And I swear it's related to the point I was just making. It sounds like I'm pivoting, but it's related. Importantly, we don't see exactly what led Lucy to taking her own life. Not the exact build-up to it. Not the specific event. Not the potential mix of things leading up to it. There are implications throughout.
The big implication is some form of clinical depression.
Mm-hmm.
Clinical depression hidden by this mask of being a bubbly, happy teenage girl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what makes this issue work is, oddly enough, the injection of conflict. Conflict is how without conflict there wouldn't really be a story.
Mm-hmm.
And the conflict here is Lucy and Vanessa having a falling out. Specifically, specifically over, over Lucy treating Vanessa like a kid at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Perez throughout this run has, really characterized Vanessa as wanting to fit in and characterize the teenage characters quite well. But people, teenagers can be mean to each other.
Yeah.
They can be cruel.
We talked a lot about that last time.
Yes.
And it perfectly leads into this. I'm legitimately finding it hard to talk about this. Fuck.
Yeah, it's not easy. I will say one thing that else helps is, since a lot of this is focusing on Vanessa, largely because Vanessa gets the blame.
Mm-hmm. Or at first, Vanessa blames
in
herself.
In our character's grief, largely Vanessa's own grief, and then the grief of Lucy's parents, who we haven't seen really before this point, and I don't. I mean, we don't see them again. Partially because why would we?
Mm-hmm.
It is, the blame is put on Vanessa, and she puts it on herself. Now, Vanessa is lucky to have a character like Eileen, who was fairly well established last volume,
Mm-hmm.
and Eileen sympathizes, coming from a poorer background. And what's nice is that Vanessa's able to essentially have this support network, and it's implied that Lucy didn't.
Yeah. Especially in the way that Lucy's parents do eventually lash out at Vanessa. Because you feel that guilt from them as parents because they know they weren't there for her. I'm assuming the implication is that's another one of those things that led to Lucy's depression. It's a lot. Oh my god. We talked a little bit about that scene already.
There's a big through line throughout the issue, throughout the run itself, of mothers and daughters. Diana goes to Hippolyta for comfort because Diana struggles with this. Mm-hmm. This is very much treated as an event that very much into the reaction of how suicide in society is treated as this tragic thing that nobody really knows how to talk about it. Especially when this is being published in 1990. Again, there's a reason you and I were both surprised that this got approved by the Commerce Code Authority, because it just was a thing that wasn't talked about, and often would get, in a way, swept under the rug. So Perez is talking about it. Is probably one of the first really to do that in media meant for kids. And Diana having her mother, and then Vanessa having Eileen, and Vanessa having Julia.
Yeah.
And
even we see Julia even struggle with not knowing how to handle it. And I think some of those powerful scenes in this come from that connection actually between Vanessa and Eileen. it's a really, really great dynamic they have. And then I think one of the most heartbreaking scenes in this comes towards the end when Diana herself goes to see Lucy's parents.
Because they have lashed out at Vanessa, blaming Vanessa, where Julia gets...
Don't they literally hit Vanessa?
It's not quite
no, sorry, that's right. I guess they kind of cut away from it, but we see the mom importantly yelling at Vanessa,
blaming.
Anyway, so Diana goes to talk to them, and she sees Lucy's room, which is filled to the brim with Wonder Woman merchandise and memorabilia, and she idolized her, and there's not really much closure to that scene. We see Lucy's mom break down over it, and
it's very subtly done in the script. So this was scripted by Newell. So I'm going to attribute at least the specific wording to Newell.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much it's this half-page image of looking through Lucy's past with this dialogue, all showing the ways that Lucy's parents weren't always supportive. There's this moment where Lucy, she was the one who wanted to enter all those beauty contests. I told her they were stupid and degrading. So did Lou. Very much implying parents who weren't connecting with their daughter.
Yeah.
And, are now obviously grieving and lashing out and not giving, not so much not paying attention, but not being aware of their daughter's struggles and just thinking, everything's fine. Everything's fine. Nothing could possibly happen.
Yeah.
And
shit, I just turned the page and my heart dropped again. Fuck. That does not get any easier.
No, it doesn't, because
so the chalk drawing on the sidewalk, Vanessa had taken a picture of it. And what Vanessa does is she puts the picture of the chalk drawing with Lucy in her casket before they put her in the ground. And they draw the whole thing. Another thing, I don't know, first off, how the fuck they got away with it. Because, again, Comics Code Authority. But you see the kid's dead body.
Yeah, and it's not graphic. It's
not. It's just but it is still a haunting image.
It's Jill Thompson is on art, so it's intentionally very haunting and very powerful. I think what's more powerful is honestly the final page of The Rain.
And that dialogue again. I just fuck. Yeah.
And in discuss, that's where the issue ends. And in discussing this issue between Joey and myself, we talked in DMs a little bit about an issue of the Sandman that came out exactly a month after this, the Sandman number 20, also dealing with this topic, and we find it kind of just fascinating. Both are very powerful issues of writers at the top of their game, and they set a very particular tone about being open with these topics. Again, this might be the best issue of the run.
It is. It just is. There are definitely ones that come close, but I don't think any issue in this run ever hits me to my core like this one does.
Yes.
Man. All right, we got to move on.
Yeah, we got to move on. We have the total whiplash of having to talk about...
fun team up time. Wonder Woman number 47 promises a Diana and Donna Troy team up, and it's fun. It's a really fun two issues we get.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like two issues.
Yeah.
It's 2 issues. It's very fun. It's oddly enough, Also taking on some threads from way back, from our Cersei story way back.
Yes, yeah, that's going to be taking up these next couple issues here. Cersei, which yeah, I think we were actually talking about it a little bit last time, weren't we? I forget exactly. Because the statue. But yeah, anyway, this is common ground.
Common
It
ground.
was common. Oh my god, I saw the one page that said common and the other page says ground. Anyway,
I mean, look, Jill. They put Jill Thompson on art. Did you expect Jill Thompson to not get really creative with the layouts?
Yeah, no, I did not. And it's great. I love that.
But yeah, this is post-crisis officially the first time Diana has met Donna Troy.
Yep, which is a take.
That is one of the things I know about Donna Troy as a character is that she has 12 different backstories depending on the continuity. This one I think is largely taking the New Teen Titans New Teen Titans backstory.
Yeah, well, definitely, because it's full Wolfman Perez shit, especially because we're post crisis. Yeah, just take New Teen Titans as canon is all. But yeah, so I guess not, because then Donna and Diana interact in that too. It makes no sense. Anyway,
well, here I think New Teen Titans did some Donna Troy stuff more than once. Once before Crisis happened and once after. So
probably, yeah.
Entirely of comics.
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't matter at this point. Anyway, so yeah, we begin seeing what Diana and Donna are up to side by side. Donna, first off, importantly, is married to a character that you're actually already familiar with, which is cool. Which I forget. What was your take on their relationship previously in New Teen Titans? I forget.
It was a little. I've seen worse, but that age gap is a little.
I mean, I don't think the age gap is the problem, really.
It's a little problematic, just a little bit. Especially considering.
I mean, it's all Wolfman and Perez always wrote it as just a mature consensual relationship.
Yes,
they never made it like Donna was being taken advantage of it all.
I have seen relationships portrayed like this much worse.
Yeah. But hey, I'm sure you're glad to know it all works out in the end.
Yes. Until it doesn't, I'm guessing, because comics are soap operas, so it's eventually not going to work out.
Yeah. So Donna is dealing with these crazy Wonder Woman fanatics because of the whole Cersei situation.
This is that island where, basically, they are coming to really just ask questions. Stavros, Crystal.
Just don't try.
Yeah, we're not going to try that. Stavros, a character who has been established in the run before, is basically sent them out to the island. This was Cersei's island, because the people on the island have been having bad dreams.
Yes, and as it turns out, so is Donna, and so is Diana. At the same time, they're having bad dreams of fighting demons and the like. We also get a great little Raven cameo here, which is fun. But yeah, everyone's having bad dreams, and so it is now at last time for Donna and Diana to meet. Not before, of course. We see more of Donna interacting with people at the island, which is fun to see. You get some great little character interactions there.
Perez does a great job, because it's just Perez. Mindy Newell has left the book at this point.
Yes.
It again really good at making the passage of time feel real. Making it feel not so much like things have become static in the last time we saw a lot of these characters.
Yeah.
So it's very good. We also get a brief follow-up to last issue, between showing that Vanessa has been struggling.
With Julia is talking to someone. Who is this person? Is it a counselor? I'm guessing just out of school, or is that just a regular teacher?
This is Julia's principal,
Okay. Yes.
who suggests that Julia intervene, and that
Is this the scene where we get there's this line that always sticks out to me from this like portion of the run, but I can't remember. It's shortly after Lucy's death. It might be the scene, but I'm trying to scan the page and it's hard to do while talking about it on a podcast. But anyway, there's a great line, it might be here, where someone warns Julia of the risk of like copycat suicides between like specifically teenagers. I can't remember if that's here or it's probably later.
This one is specifically talking about dealing with Vanessa trying to deal with it point by point, and largely the suggestion that Vanessa's also nearly died because of her association with Wonder Woman.
Yeah. And this is the start of like a string of people beginning to like warn Julia about her and Vanessa's continual association with Wonder Woman. And we'll see where that develops.
I also wonder if it's implied to be the work of a different character who has been.
I wonder where that line lies, but I'm not sure if that character would have that much influence.
That's the problem, right?
I kind of doubt it, at least here in this first scene.
Yeah, because it's very much it's a thing.
I don't think that character's influence begins until after the Donna Troy stuff.
Yeah.
But that's beside the point. Anyway, so Diana fighting some more demon things. This is not a real thing. This is not a nightmare anymore.
Yeah, this is just they're beast people, and it's Diana is reflecting on being a warrior in a lot of ways throughout this action sequence, and very much questioning like, okay, why is everyone here? And we don't get so much an answer until we eventually come to, oh no, this must be the doing of Cersei somehow. So we go back to the island, and we have this brief scene with this couple who discuss how the beastamorphs lurk within the tunnels and attacked Diana, and that they have to act, and they embrace and they will be free, and it's sinister stuff. Because I say that because this is a story in the next issue that takes a turn.
Oh yeah,
like
a fun turn.
Actually, very fun turn. Very fun
turn. And then we get this great scene then when Diana goes to see Vanessa and Julia is Vanessa is ecstatic to see Diana. Well, this is Julia, of course, but Vanessa especially, because Vanessa has been going through a lot lately. And
the words of Vanessa's principal are kind of true, that because Donna Troy calls Julia to speak with Diana, and Vanessa is very much like, oh, don't make her go away, please, like, very much we're playing around this fear that Vanessa's afraid that Diana could die.
Yeah, and Julia is clearly already letting the words of the principal of Vanessa's principal like get to her, and she's like, well, okay, well maybe, she's like considering that when she like gets Diana away from Vanessa, and Vanessa takes that really personally. It's a really great little character moment. I love that.
And then meanwhile, we finally get to have Donna and Diana meet in Greece, and it's fantastic. It just, the dialogue sparkles.
I love their full despite the fact that we're in 1990 now, they're full 80s style when they're in normal civilian clothes together. It's really
Well, I
fun.
mean, it's 1990.
Oh yeah,
Like they end up
the
going
80s
to
still be just fine.
Julia's. They go to Julia's parents, so that is a trip. It is a great trip of just there is a literal old married couple.
Yep.
And they talk about okay, that that some
Well, they talk about the dreams they've been having, right?
the dreams they've been having. They
yeah.
connect it to Cersei as well as a scourge demon that the Titans encountered in New York, which I'm guessing is just a
new Teen Titans thing, yeah.
Yeah,
or probably Titans at this point, actually, yeah.
It might have still been new.
Are you sure?
Maybe or it could just be the new Titans. It's that.
No, it has to be Titans because we're in Tim Drake era.
Right, we are in Tim Drake territory. Right.
Yep. Anyway, beside the point. Diana and Donna then go outside, and because they hear somebody in trouble, and a van has like tipped over on its side, and a man is in trouble there. And as Donna and Diana go to help him, they are attacked by a demon-looking thing, and that is the end of the issue.
Okay, this is such a holy shit! I ran out of page space, and
yeah, and we need a cliffhanger like on the final fucking page. It happens so fucking fast. Like all those events I described are done within 4 panels on the last page.
And, like it's not bad because the issue has been great up to that point. It's
exactly. Yeah,
I need
cliffhanger. Yeah,
I need a cliffhanger. We need to go.
Which brings us, of course, to Wonder Woman 48 with, oh my god, I love that cover so much. It's so good. Oh,
God. I mean, the covers are all Perez.
Yeah.
Or Perez and Thompson, or it's all pretty much by Perez. So he knocks it out of the park.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is Fang and Claw.
Sorry. Anyway. I don't. Anyway, I don't like the fact that you said it in the way that you did. Anyway, should we explain it now?
No, we don't need to explain it. No, they don't need to know. Also, you need to check Twitter.
Nobody in the game listens to this podcast.
Mason might.
Maybe. Who knows? Anyway,
but you need to check Twitter. We just got another question.
Oh, did we? Oh, cool. All right, let's do another question because we're between issues right now. Anyway,
from Rules Panda. Yes. Joey can read this first. I missed it, didn't I? No, we're still recording. At Rules Panda, at Joey can read this. In a hurry. So simple question. Favorite artist to draw Wonder Woman?
I mean, I don't think there's an absolute favorite for me.
I think currently I have 2.
I mean, I love Sampere.
That's one of them, and Perez. But they're also the ones I've been exposed to the most. So
that's fair.
Unfair sample size, but also they're both just great artists. So
yeah, they're fantastic. It changes all the time. I love a good Jim Lee. Always love Jim Lee. Yeah, just a lot of great ones. Cliff Chang, I love Cliff Chang. Oh God, trying to think of others. Who did Who did that one section on Wonder Woman 800? I can't think of who it was now. Damn it, never mind. Anyway, entirely beside the point. Yeah, I guess not beside the point. That was the question. But yeah, thanks for the question. It was nice to have more than 2 questions.
Yes.
So
we're
back to it.
This one's dealing with werewolves, but not wolves. Beasts.
Where people, things.
Where people, beasts.
Yeah. Donna and Diana fight the wolf thing, and obviously defeat it. It turns back into a man, and we learn of that there are, again, like you said, there are were people, there are were things about. Bringing us back to a brief scene between that couple we saw earlier in the forest. And
it finds out that this is, Diana thinks this must mean Cersei's alive. And Well,
Which again, I'm not quite sure why that's the conclusion they're coming to.
well, it's because she was the one causing people to turn into beasts.
Yeah.
And I think it's also working on the classic logic of if you kill the witch, their magic is no longer around.
And so if she were still around, the magic would still be there. Yeah.
Yeah. So and there it's the result of the magic seems to still be there. Therefore, the witch must be around.
Yeah. But anyway, Donna and Diana then leave to go to where are they?
New York City.
New York City. They're leaving then. Meanwhile, we catch back up actually with Paradise Island, which is a nice little scene to see here. Doesn't hold much relevance, if I remember rightly, to the actual Cersei plot that we're going through right now. This might be some War of the Gods shit.
Yeah, no, this is all.
Yep, War of the Gods shit.
There's a lot of setup and a lot. It's doing the thing of one scene of setup, usually very good setup. I think our Amazon characters are characterized really, really well. So you care when when the war starts to break out in the later issues of this volume, because that's what this volume is building.
Because I don't know, I feel like I don't need any extra pushing to care about these characters. Like Perez has been setting them all up since the very first issue.
Yeah, but this is the one where they sort of get things to do and get their own plot lines and not just interludes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. So then we go to the twist. Is that it's not Cersei, it's fucking aliens.
Yep.
Like,
which I mean, hey, cool as hell. Let it be fun. It's fun.
I don't get me wrong. I liked it, but I was also thrown the fuck for a loop.
Yeah. Which does also make all those teases of Cersei being back before a little weird.
But it makes sense because it was basically all people who knew about Cersei.
Yeah,
thought it must be
mistaking
Cersei.
a different power for Cersei. Yeah.
It's also nice. It turns out this is a story without a villain, because
the aliens are dead.
The aliens are dead. They briefly become undead, and our couple who are
point B. I love that this story culminates in a fight against alien skeletons. It's really weird. I love it. It's so weird. It's a great time. And so I forget what this guy's name. This centaur-looking guy. What is it?
Theo.
Yes.
This is Anna's partner and lover.
Yes, that's right. They fight alongside him. The skeleton alien things.
We find out that they were there in Cersei's. When Cersei was in control, and that after Cersei died, they left. They moved to New York, and they were content, but the changes were stopped until things started to change, and aliens. It was aliens.
Yep.
It was aliens again. Part of this, I think, doesn't make as much sense if you haven't read whatever Titan story this is referencing as well.
I mean, it makes enough sense. I think
it makes enough sense. It feels like there might be some depth missing, at least on what the aliens are, because that doesn't quite get explained until there's a message from the dead Cersei on a screen in the alien spaceship.
Yep. Was Cersei an alien? Dun dun dun.
No, she's just using her power from beyond the grave.
Yeah. Beautiful weirdness. Anyway, so Diana and Donna part ways then. We get a nice little shot of Titan's Tower then. And
after Theo, sacrifices himself, and we end kind of sadly as Theo and Anna don't make it out, but luckily Cersei's power is defeated, and we get the wrap up of the issue is genuinely really nice.
A few days after they part ways, Donna goes to visit Diana, and there's this really great scene here, just seeing them hang out, and also there's what's her name? Can't
So
think of her name.
Donna has a stepsister.
Yeah, because of her husband, and she's hanging out with Vanessa, and it's nice to see like Vanessa actually has someone to relate to and talk to and
Grieve with.
grieve with and express her fears to. We get this great bit about like Vanessa being worried about Diana dying still, and that is where the issue ends. It's a really nice way to end the issue. And then,
Honestly, what works about the two-parter is that it doesn't lose. A lesser writer, after writing 46, could very easily have dropped it, and Perez doesn't.
yeah,
It becomes this looming mark on the run.
yeah, but it doesn't also hang heavily over the issues, if that makes sense. Like it doesn't become exclusively what the run is about now.
It's very much something that informs the character. Basically, it's something that informs all the characters involved, but especially Julia and Vanessa, throughout the rest of this volume, and probably for the rest of the run. I'm also trying, because I don't really want to talk about 49.
I mean, we literally don't have to. We could just say, listen to episodes 24, 25, 30, was it 36, 7, 8, somewhere? No, 40 something. It was 40 something, wasn't it? 43? I can't remember what episode volume 3 is. Anyway, listen to our past Wonder Woman episodes. If
you're on YouTube, there's a playlist.
There's a playlist, and also,
44, Joey.
That was it. I think I named like every number before that.
But 44, yeah.
Episodes 24, 25, 44, and 65. That's our complete Wonder Woman George Perez coverage. You can go check that out, and you will know exactly what you're about to read in Wonder Woman number.
A couple things to comment on, though.
It's a news broadcast. It's a
news broadcast.
It's a TV special hosted by Ronnie Saraski. And you get some like nice little scenes of like interviews with people, just from like random civilians to like Steve Trevor to actual Justice Leaguers, some archive footage of Mindy Mayer. There are some fun things in there, but it's just look, if you've read the run up to this point, there's not much here for you.
The framing of in the media of Wonder Woman is good. And
the best page, if you're going to read any page in this, just read the JLI page. It's so much fun.
It is very fun. The art is also fantastic. Again, this is Colleen Duran, who is wonderful artist. Love her work. She's actually doing a graphic novel adaptation of Good Omens.
That's
cool. Writing and drawing.
That's awesome. I might check that out.
But 49 is... It's recap. It's
all.
It's good recap, but it's.
I like the structure of it, but that's all it really has going for it. And otherwise, it's a good time. But then Wonder Woman number 50 with, first off, my God, what a fucking cover! Holy shit, I love that cover.
Now, luckily, this boasts a double-size issue. The plot is actually only 30 pages.
Yeah,
I actually discovered. And it's the reason why all of these artists are credited on the cover. It's because the rest of the issue is taken up by a photo gallery in the back of the volume.
Well, good for them.
All put up. So you get one by Brian Bolland, by Cynthia Martin, just a bunch of them.
I wonder if you could get the. I kind of want to seek out getting the issue for cheap now, which I might be able to. I will have to check my comic shop next time.
But they're all the art is included in this volume, just at the end of the volume.
Oh, that's right, it is. Yes. Okay.
Yes. In sort of the bonuses, because this is one where there is actually bonuses. So, Wonder Woman number 50,
this, I would say, is actually where the volume begins to go downhill, unfortunately.
It's where we really start to enter characters begin acting weird territory.
Mm-hmm. First off, we begin on a gorgeous first 2 dialogueless pages, which I really, really love. There's this great scene of like Hippolyta drawing a baby in the sand and making Diana out of clay, presumably, is what they're doing there. And then you see gets a great full page of Diana herself, and then the issue actually begins.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, well, also, I think on this title page, we dedicated to the memory of Wonder Woman creator William Moulton and artist H.G. Peter, who 50 years ago started all with that very first chapter. So, this is the beginning of Perez trying to do some big celebration stuff for Wonder Woman's 50th anniversary and getting screwed.
Yeah.
Where to really begin with this one? Because this one is also dense. Like,
it's really dense. Yeah, this one will crush you. Yeah, so basically the Amazons are planning a
proper integration into man's world.
Yes, we've sort of touched on this before. We had visitors to Paradise Island before, but this is the first time that Amazons, other than Wonder Woman, are actually coming over to man's world and going there to like do some ambassadorial work, which is really cool. But yeah, we see them making preparations for that. Diana visits, and
there's a great sense that some of the Amazons are kind of apprehensive about it for good reasons,
entirely reasonable reasons. Yeah.
Yes. But it's very much there's this great moment where Hippolyta talks to Diana's. It's our humility, it's our duty to humanity to at least try. Go back to the Outlanders and tell all of them that the Amazons are coming. Mm-hmm. So we're building things up. We see we get a nice scene with Penelope, who's been recovering since
her bullshit
since last volume. Yeah.
Yep.
And Diana eventually goes back to man's world, and we do see a lot of man's world getting ready for the Amazons. In very much the way that merchandise,
especially merchandise. That's the whole gist there. Is merchandise.
There's going to be this big gala that the Amazons are going to be at. Hippolyta's going to speak. Everyone's invited, and we get, honestly, maybe the best sequence of the issue between, and it's again just these 4 pages of character stuff between Diana, Vanessa, Julia. Julia getting ready wearing a spectacular shimmering dress,
and then
Vanessa getting to wear stuff.
Yes.
We find out that Donna hasn't spoken to Terry in a couple of days, so they won't be at the banquet.
Terry calls, yeah. Vanessa then has this dress on. We get this great little moment of Julia seeing her, and I just love that moment. It's so good. Then we also get a moment with Etta Candy here, who, look, so it is everyone supposedly acting out of character starting here, and we don't really see anything with like out of character Etta in this particular scene. But Etta here is Etta gets kind of treated horribly in the next couple issues, I would say. It doesn't get great. But this scene is here to tell us that Etta is also getting screwed over by her job because she was granted leave and now she's being forced to work, and it sucks. Then we get some time with the Trevor family again. Hermes and whatever the fuck Hermes is wearing.
I believe this is Southern 80s camp.
Gay Southern 80s camp, I would say.
Is there any kind of what that implies? There's a straight Southern 80s camp.
I mean, you're not wrong. Anyway, but Diana visits, talks with Hermes about the Amazons visiting,
and Okay, Hermes throughout the rest of this volume gets a bit content warning, kind of assaulty. Like
A little bit, a little bit.
and it's
I had. Here's the thing. I always kind of read Hermes that way.
it feels different here. He's been characterized before.
Perez's Hermes always gives me the creeps, no matter what. I can never trust
He's
this guy.
he's a pompous ass before this, but never assaulty.
Yeah,
Which it's weird. So we also then get a scene setting up okay, so here's the hard part, because again, rest of this volume is largely one continuous story arc with a lot of characters doing a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
This is Eddie Anderson. He and his wife are going to be very important later.
Why they're here is kind of beyond me.
Yeah.
But we then get a little scene of Clark Kent at the Daily Planet watching the preparations for the Amazon's arrival on TV.
Then we get a little bit of Lois. And then we get a scene with, some kids being excited on the playground. And then we get a scene with the JLI, which is so much fun because Guy Gardner's.
Oh man, I desperately need to read this full run someday. I fucking love this team and everything I've ever seen them in.
They've collected it in Omnis now.
I know it was what, 2 Omnis, right? I really need
3.
3. Oh, is it 3? Jeez.
At least 3.
I really need to get them. I love this team so much. Anyway, but yeah, let's see. Hermes goes to visit Penelope.
And again, gets very. It's everything starts acting weird, and it's
and there's a purpose. There's a purpose for it. It's just there's no indication that there's something nefarious going on, at least right now. And it just comes across as really weird. But anyway, it is. We go over to New York then, and we see
the banquet setting up happening.
Is it a banquet? They're on a stage.
It's a ceremony banquet. It's going to be a big party to welcome the arrival of the Amazons.
And then as Diana is getting ready, we get this really amazing scene between her and Superman, who comes to visit her and just kind of wish her well. I really love their dynamic here, especially in a point in the run where we fully moved past the whole will they, won't they of Perez and it's not even Perez, it's John Byrne.
It's John Byrne. John Byrne is no longer writing Superman.
Yeah, and so yeah. Anyways, yeah, we move past that. It just becomes a really nice scene. Diana presents herself to the crowd at the gathering. Hermes arrives as well. And then Hermes introduces the Amazons. Hippolyta and the other Amazons enter, and
we get a great little moment with Mindy Mayer's brother.
Oh yes, forgot about that.
It's tiny, but he's there and he's watching, and it's great.
Yeah, it's a really great moment. But the Amazons arrive. They present themselves to
they remove their bracers because they are no longer in exile. Powerful stuff, really powerful stuff.
It's really good. Oh my god. And yeah, they Hippolyta gives a speech to Man's World.
A speech in several languages. That is great. Everybody is very, very happy. Man's World gives a gift of chalice of the Goblet of Heracles, which I believe this was what Julia found in Turkey. So we're tying that thread together.
Yes. And so her and Steve, Hippolyta and Steve, drink from the chalice, and it just
as the symbol of trust. Everyone gives the Amazon salute. And it's a really happy ending for issue 50.
And then there's the tiniest implication that there's something going on, but not a hint that somebody's like messing with their minds, and also has nothing to do with the person actually behind the messing of the minds. So yeah,
It's just a hint that things are happening. Something's afoot.
There's something strange going on. Something's wrong. Wonder Woman number 51. Here we go.
The God must be crazy.
Love the cover. Oh, it's so good. Batman shows up at the start of this issue.
Yeah, well, that's because we're in Gotham, at Arkham Asylum for the criminally insane, where Barbara Minerva is having some sort of vision.
Mm-hmm. And she whispers out for Kuma, and she is haunted by a bird with a red eye at her window.
I think it's supposed to be like I think the bird is supposed to be a dove. I think it's supposed to be a dove with a red eye.
Well, it is completely silhouetted, so I wouldn't know. But yeah, then we go over to Diana.
Yes, Diana. In New York, Diana and Hippolyta, where the Amazons are again crying in the night. Things are going wrong, but oh wait, it's just the telephone ringing.
Yep, it's a really funny scene. I love this little gag. It's so good. Oh no, it's Hippolyta. Hippolyta wakes up screaming, and she's like, "What is that?" It's just the phone ringing.
Some tortured soul in the night.
It's so good. It's such a good gag. I love that.
Which again, it makes sense because like the Amazons don't have they have some technology, but they don't have telephones.
No, yeah. Really funny.
It's wonderful. There's there's a little bit of Julia, and through this mirth and greatness, Hermes is watching and is beckoning Diana. So that's where things are going to start going weird. Yeah. Really weird. Hermes on our title page, Hermes is trying to be a god, but doesn't seem to have his full power. It's very unclear. Honestly, a lot of the next couple issues, even knowing the twist, kind of unclear exactly what's going on.
Yeah, I said even on reread, it just knowing the twist, it comes off weird. Still doesn't make complete sense. But anyway,
but a lot of this is Diana eventually. It takes a while for Diana to actually get to Hermes, and we then find that Hermes has made a marble statue in Diana's glory. And he starts to basically force himself on her briefly. Again, very weird. Honestly, kind of out of character. And when he's rejected, he lashes out.
And so there's then actively a fight between Diana and Hermes, and it is both of them being like, "Hey, you're acting really weird," and essentially the rest of this issue is a fight until, importantly,
a second Hermes.
Yes, a second Hermes shows up for a brief second, and then pops back in, and Diana is really fucking confused, rightfully so.
Rightfully so, as is the reader, because it doesn't get explained adequately what it is until you get the implication near the end of the volume that it's a certain character fucking with everybody. Because this is very, very weird, and again, Hermes, by the end, demands to be left alone.
And then these issues keep ending on, Diana being watched in, a crystal ball thing held up by two statues. And, again, that has nothing to do with the character that's actually behind the fucking of the minds. Like, it's really weird. It's a really weird thing to imply. But anyway, that is where the issue ends. To bring us into Wonder Woman number 52, another gorgeous cover. I love this one in particular.
Cynthia Martin does the art. Does the pencils on this issue, giving Thompson a break. Thompson is back at 53, and this one, this was the one where I'm like, oh, everything's going weird.
Yeah.
First off,
great title page. First off, love that, the shards and the breaking. It's really good. But yeah, starts off at Harvard University. Vanessa and Eileen are going to the library, and
because Julia forgot her bag when surprise.
It's a birthday party
for Janessa. For Vanessa.
Janessa, yes. It's not even 9:00 for you yet, Jacob. Anyway, yeah, it's Vanessa's birthday, and they're throwing her a surprise party, and Diana's not there.
And so the drama comes with one of the guests, Joanne, basically being a total bitch. Like,
yeah. She, like, I don't know. First off, we see like the first panel, like the surprise party, that like this bitch is like front and center. I don't know. I guess she's important to Vanessa somehow.
I don't think she has appeared.
Then she's immediately like, she's like Vanessa's like, upset that Diana's not there. And
first off, the first page is just happiness of genuine happiness. Like, Vanessa and Julia gets a hug, and it's great. And then this Joanne starts running her damn mouth.
Yeah, she's like, maybe your friend the princess had more important things to do than come to a stupid birthday party. And like, Vanessa, look, I don't want to advocate for violence or anything, but she rightfully tackles this bitch.
This bitch gets slapped.
And then Julia. And again, I guess this is where the mindfuck.
This is where the mindfuck is.
Yeah,
clearly
Julia fucking slaps Vanessa for this,
because that's not something that is. It's intentionally like totally out of character for Julia. Like, Julia could be a stern mother, but that's an act of abuse.
Yeah,
like, and it was really uncomfortable. Especially because I didn't know the twist was coming. I'm like, is this just character assassination of a character that I've loved for 4.5 volumes?
Yeah. So if nothing else, at least in retrospect, you can write it off as it's mindfuck shit. But it's being presented as normal in a way, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
Like, it's not like here's a giant panel showing this moment where Julia acts really out of character. It's just like, it's just part of the scene. There's nothing to indicate at all that something could be going on. Like, I think that's where it really fails.
Vaguely, she immediately apologizes
after 3 panels of stunned silence.
Yeah, which again,
yeah, it's weird. It's a weird moment. Not much. No, I mean, it's weirder than the next scene, but the next scene is still also weird. Etta is on assignment, and she is talking about her recent troubles with Steve Trevor, and we start delving into that some more. Etta is really, really jealous of Diana, and
again,
see, here's the thing, though. I'm not sure if this is actually a mindfuck thing too.
No,
because Etta was acting this way as well last volume when.
Yeah.
Look, okay. First off, we should just say Dr. Psycho. Because I'm sick of dancing around it. Dr. Psycho. When Dr. Psycho wasn't involved at all, like Etta was still acting this way before, and I'm. It's one of like the downfalls of this part of the run. I think is that Perez just kind of settles on this characterization for Etta Candy that I'm just not super into.
And it's weird. It's very weird. Like, I think it's supposed to be like, and it's okay to have these characters have relationship troubles, because I know one of the big goals was he wanted to end his run on this wedding between Steve and Etta that DC took away from him, sadly.
Yeah.
And I think they gave that issue to his successor, William Mester Loebs, which is what I said. And it's also implied, like, again, but it then implies in the messages afterwards that the mindfuckery is happening to like her message to Steve. Like, it's weird and it's contemplative, and part of the problem is that it takes. But so the trouble is that I think it takes way too long for Dr. Psycho to actually appear.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
He doesn't appear until the end.
By the time he's revealed, by the time Psycho's revealed, it's the end. It's an end of issue cliffhanger.
It's the end of issue 54.
Yeah, and then then his story arc is over in the very next issue.
Yeah.
And that's all he gets.
Well, I think partially the problem is that part of the problem is also going to come down to issue 53. The next issue being in certain ways, including a lot of stuff that is explicitly War of the Gods setup in terms of some characters that are character that's reintroduced, a character that is introduced proper. The pacing of this back half is such a mess.
Yeah, and you could tell Perez was just under the wire. And
Could
not handle this at this point.
Karen Berger was gone. She was.
Yeah.
She wasn't.
I think honestly, I actually bring it back to our questions earlier in the episode. I think what might have helped is if Perez had some help in structuring this at this point. If he brought in Wolfman to help out, like bring together this big event that he was planning for the end of his run, like I don't know, he just needed some sort of support system, and he just clearly was not getting that.
And I mean, other than that, I know a lot of the stuff that went on behind the scenes during War of the Gods, because War of the Gods you can get a War of the Gods Omni that has a bunch of tie-ins.
Mm-hmm.
And DC really didn't like. As far as I know, the only tie-in outside of Wonder Woman that really fits nicely, I've been told, is the Titans tie-in. Again, because
surprise.
Friends. Basically, this arc is very much a DC really. You need to have more editors like Karen Berger who are going to support and advocate for authors and step in to be like, hey, here are some problems. Now, after this Steve scene, I
love this scene. This next scene is so good.
Again, you get flashes of just these brilliant scenes.
Diana shows up at the party, and Eileen is pissed off at her, and we learn that they had this previous confrontation that Diana went to go talk to Eileen. And Eileen didn't want to invite her to the party because everyone's kind of just worried about Vanessa and Diana and how worried she is about her and what it's actually doing to Vanessa's mental health. It's a really, really important scene, and I really love what it does here. But Diana is there anyway now, and Diana and Eileen sort of like part ways. Great scene.
And then we get
oh my god, dude! This fucking scene. I love this scene so much. Oh my god, the nightmare sequence is so good.
It is such a good nightmare sequence because it's
so fucked up.
It lays out Vanessa's fears. Vanessa sees herself as a kid. Is seeing this
her mother sort of like taunting her, and there's this birthday cake in the shape of a coffin. It's really good. And then the coffin opens up, and it's Vanessa's father,
who is dead.
Then there's another coffin that opens up, and it's fucking Lucy, and she looks so fucking demonic and possessed. And I just, oh my god, it's so good. Oh my god, it's so fucked up.
And then culminates in Diana in a coffin.
Mm-hmm. Who like falls forward and shatters into pieces, and then she turns into
Phobos.
What was it? I forget the name.
Phobos.
Yeah, and
literally Phobos. Fear. Literally fear. I think I think part of this is Dr. Psycho shit fucking with her head.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is also her own.
Although, no, yeah, it's not like out of character, but it is like an amplified feeling that Vanessa already has.
It also, just as a nightmare sequence, oh god, it perfectly
It's
captures.
so good. It's so good.
It captures the surreal, dreamlike quality.
I also can't quite explain it, but demonic Lucy gives off. I can't think of the
Evil Dead
name.
vibes.
It would have specifically Evil Dead Rise when you eventually watch that one.
Oh, I haven't seen that one, so
the main Deadite in that, specifically the vibes of her. There's this scene, and it's not a spoiler. There's this great scene. Basically the main Deadite in it. She's the mom of these kids, and when she's like first revealed as a Deadite, she like comes out of this tub and like over and like with her head, and she's like, "Mommy's with the maggots now," and she like fucking gets up, and I don't know, something about the way she looks in that scene reminds me of that exact facial expression that again, I can't think of her name, the actress that plays her. She's amazing in it. That exact facial expression, and it's so fucked up, and I love it. Oh, it's amazing. Anyway, I'm glad you caught Evil Dead vibes as well.
I mean, I
yeah, big time.
It's some Sam Raimi bullshit in the best way possible.
Totally.
Now we do now have this. The next 2 pages are a scene with first Julia and Vanessa's
therapist. Is this the one I was talking about earlier?
I think so.
This is the one I was thinking of.
Yeah, very much. That's like, hey, this party is the end of it all. This was sort of a final thing. It's like, and there's this great sorrow from Julia of not letting Vanessa see her dying father, because she and Vanessa's father didn't want Vanessa to remember him like a dying husk.
Yeah.
And then Julia and Diana have this really nice heart-to-heart.
And Diana perfectly understands what Julia is saying. And this is where I think specifically the Dr. Psycho involvement really screws up the flow of this, because I genuinely can't tell if this is Julia acting of her own accord or some Dr. Psycho bullshit.
Yeah,
because it could go either way. It's a genuinely great, heartfelt scene if it's Julia taking the advice of the principal and the therapist and all recent events with Vanessa into account. But also, if she's pushing Diana away, could it be Dr. Psycho shit? And that also takes away the emotional weight of the other option. But like, it's a mess. It's an absolute fucking mess. But it's a great scene on its own. And that's the problem, unfortunately.
Because again, we have a couple more scenes in the, like, one more scene in the issue, one with the Amazons, that ends with Hippolyta on this panel that looks, again, like that very much implies that Dr. Psycho bullshit is happening. Diana going to her mother for advice, and Hippolyta ending with this terrifying line of, "Besides, with all the friends you've made on this world, how could you ever be lonely?"
Yeah. She also looks like a fucking snake in that moment.
Yeah, I'm like, things are happening, and like everyone, like all the Amazons just start shitting on Diana.
Yeah. And here's where you get the full Dr. Psycho bullshit. But again, Psycho never has a crystal ball when he was revealed. What is this? How is this?
Is it Pariah? Maybe? I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. Also, do you know who Pariah is? Because we're gonna deal with Pariah shit soon. And
I think I know Pariah is like, isn't Pariah the villain of War of the Gods or whatever?
Pariah is in War of the Gods. Yeah, I'll say that. But Pariah was originally created for Infinite Earths. He's a big part of that.
Okay.
Yeah. So bringing him back in this capacity is fascinating. Yeah, more on that later, definitely, because we'll definitely cover Infinite Earths someday on the podcast.
Yeah. We'd better.
We will. Yeah, it's gonna happen. Yeah.
Okay,
but,
so Wonder Woman 53, aka
53. This
so
is
much.
yeah.
Not so much filler, but an issue that further. Again, I think this is the issue that really throws the pacing off. Because again, honestly, I think if I were writing this, the issue 54 cliffhanger would somehow be incorporated here at the end of this one. Having basically 2 full issues stretches this story too thin.
Like even if Psycho is revealed, just to have a full issue of like explaining like his role in the story up to this point, I think would be really helpful. It would come across as like really info dumpy and exposition heavy, but like I don't know, man. It would help me a lot in getting invested in this story. I don't know.
There's more things in the background. We're bringing up to the front a bunch of murders at a bunch of museums, all around sort of the DC universe. There's some. This one is a museum of archaeology in Metropolis, where the only thing that was stolen was an Aztec arrowhead, and we have some investigations on that. Put a pin in that because there's going to be more murders at different museums.
Then we have some Diana shenanigans because she's tossing and turning in bed because she's been fucked with a lot lately, and so she starts having a nightmare, and she envisions Lady Harmonia, and she talks to Lady Harmonia, and she then sees Pariah, who talks to her. And
there's a talisman that Harmonia has that's pointed out that is probably going to be that's pointed out in such a way that's like, this is going to be important later. It's a lot about now it's very weird because things are going to happen.
And God, it just screams of like Perez desperately needs to squeeze all this in, and he just can't do it at this pace. It just can't happen.
Yeah, because here's Pariah.
It is just such a shame to watch. Like, oh man. Anyway,
because here's Pariah, and
for 2 whole pages, and somehow he makes cover. Like, like he makes the cover. It's just, oh man. And it comes across as so random. It's like, oh, cool, here's Pariah. What? I don't know. That's all it is. Like, oh man. And then Diana wakes up, and she is visited. Well, wakes up, quote. And the Amazons like come to like check on her and are like, "Are you okay?" And then we catch up.
Why are you asleep in your battle armor? Anyway.
And then like we catch up with another museum murder, but then also, surprise, surprise, Diana is actually in a dreamscape. So why are we cutting over to the museum at this time? Because Diana, when Diana wakes up, she puts on more battle armor, and then she kills a bunch of Amazons, and then she actually wakes up, and the same Amazons are there to check on her, and it's such a fucking mess. And then Diana flies away, and then she gets a genuinely haunting image of dead Hermes in full Jesus cross pose, with Pariah in the background, and she screams, and then it's another museum murder, and oh man.
And things aren't adding up. Nobody seems to know. There was a Thanagarian artifact taken. There's an axe that was taken, and all the deaths seem to have different MOs, but we don't know everything. We also they tried to reach out to Julia, as an archaeologist, to maybe get some info, and Julia wasn't picking up because, again, things are going on. One of these is Professor Shantz, who is a great use of established characters, but it's a lot, and it really doesn't integrate well into Diana's plot at all.
Yeah.
Because we follow up on the whole dreamscape of Diana then punching away Pariah, finding Hermes, and then we see Hermes on his own weekend in the forest.
Yeah. And then that's a cliffhanger, I guess. And then we go into Wonder Woman 54, which teases a fight between Wonder Woman and Hermes, which does happen. It's there. But yeah. Meanwhile, hang on a second. So, did the principal change skin tone? I swear
no, because she wasn't pregnant before.
She wasn't pregnant before, and she wasn't black before.
So this is a different character. This is Helen Anderson.
This is the same character. This is the same principal.
Well, this is specifically or
I'm pretty sure it's meant to be the same character.
I hope not.
Yeah, okay, hang on. Go to page 40 of the collected edition. Same hairstyle, same glasses and everything. Just different skin. Oh, she is pregnant in that scene though. Yeah, she just went from white to black in between
Perez.
In between these issues. Whoo, man, somebody was not watching out.
You can tell that somebody was on maternity leave.
Oh man.
Yeah, so
and then she stays black for the rest of this volume at least.
So,
oh man. Wow.
You know what? Treat this like a soap opera recasting.
Yeah, literally.
But yeah, this is Helen Anderson, who is a kind of a fascinating character. She seems to actually care at this point about, because it's like, oh, suddenly Vanessa's doing. Suddenly she's doing a lot better. And
it's almost like she doesn't have Diana in her life, which is a shame.
But it's very specific of, okay, she's doing a lot better. She's doing even better than she was before. She's getting straight A's. And so it's like, okay, something is weird about that. Because, Vanessa's a perfectly fine student, but not a straight A.
Not a straight A student, yeah.
Yeah. And I will say, it's presented very nicely of like, it's like something must have happened. Anyway, so Diana goes to Hermes, and there's this thing about a god being reborn, Hermes being a pompous ass, and in the rebirth, it's for Hermes to live, Boston must die for some reason. The reason is Dr. Psycho shit. It's Dr. Psycho shit. Meanwhile, again, another a museum of African American history is being attacked. Things are going weird. Then we spend some more time with Helen Anderson in traffic, kind of working out that this Dr. Stanton's way too much of a miracle worker. And he had this great knack, but he had some weird personal relationships, and weird that it happened so quickly. It's like, how did he perform a miracle? Of course, miracles don't happen. A real miracle would be getting out of this fucking traffic jam. I love that it's a scene in traffic because it's that great time where you're frustrated and you're stuck in one place. And it's like, you come to the conclusion, to some sort of a conclusion. Because
also, I think literally the first time in this entire run that Perez has ever implied swearing.
Very possibly.
Yeah. Anyway, and then catch back up with Hippolyta, and she still has the chalice of Heracles. And she is, as she's here, there is a messenger, or looking to be a messenger bird, a bird that arrives at her window with a glowing red eye, looks straight into her, and her eye color changes to red as well, and the chalice starts to glow. And more on that later, because Diana and Hermes is still acting like a little bitch, and Diana is very aware that something's wrong. But then also we catch back up with another museum murder, it looks like, and these are the Amazons from the Cheetah arc back in Volume 3, and they're here now too. Again, Perez is balancing a lot, and it kind of just all seems to be coming out of nowhere. And so then we catch back up with the Amazons in the hotel. There are people coming after them. Do we know who they are yet? I don't think we know who they are yet.
Who they are yet? No. Again, we're doing a lot. While Helen goes to Charles Stanton's home, and all while Diana and Hermes are going to basically destroy Boston. Again, basically, there's this frenetic pace as the chaos increases through all of these scenes going between basically the 3 or 4 scenes. Some of the Amazons go out on their own to try to chase down the other Amazons, and then we build up to this ritual is happening, all while Helen goes up into the home, and there's this voice from Wonder Woman, of begging Hermes to destroy the city, and surprise, it's Dr. Psycho.
Yep. Who is suitably creepy and perfectly characterized, but man, why was he not here before? So Wonder Woman 55. First off, love the cover.
Dr. Psycho. Helen is knocked shit. Out. But yeah, Wonder Woman 55, Dr. Psycho shit.
Psych out.
A great cover.
Yeah, love the weirdness of Wonder Woman's eyes and everything on the sides there. It's cool. It's really cool. But I pick up here with Diana and Hermes. They are both aware that something is wrong between them, and so they're trying to figure out what's going on, what's real and what isn't.
And they realize that neither of them have been acting straight for the longest while. Something was wrong. Also, they've also found that Boston had seemed to be quiet and empty for a period of time. Now luckily they both saw the face of Dr. Psycho. So they at least know the face. At least
know who they're looking for, yeah. Then we see how Psycho was interrupted by Helen, and he attacked her and knocked her out. And so
now going to try to manipulate her and her unborn child's mind.
Perez doesn't really take much time to explain Psycho's actual role in the grand scheme of things here. He's just kind of here in almost a villain of the week way, but also apparently he's been manipulating events for a while, but also he just still doesn't have that crystal ball that they were teasing. So what the fuck?
It's heavily implied that he was Vanessa's therapist. He was the one driving all these wedges in between these characters.
Mm-hmm.
And it just needs more time to breathe with Psycho.
Yeah. I get it. You want to save him until you're at the end of the arc, but having him earlier would have really helped. Just if nothing else, just to explain how he was actually involved with everything. But I digress. Diana and Hermes then are trying to investigate and find where Dr. Psycho is.
Hermes actually is the one who comes to the conclusion, what if Vanessa's violence was because of this entity? Diana is going to try to go into her mind with Vanessa if she can get Vanessa's permission. Meanwhile, Psycho gets into Helen's mind and basically feeds off of it.
There's some really cool imagery there that I really love. There's this again. I love the way that he's drawn. He's really, really creepy. He's like really, really like happy after he feeds in her mind. Just creepy looking. It's really great.
Julia wakes up in the middle of the night, and
it looks like like Diana and Hermes are like kidnapping Vanessa, so she freaks out, and Vanessa's like, "No, like I'm trying to help them." And so Julia thankfully goes along with it eventually, but again, it's
again, part of it is implied that Psycho's still controlling Julia.
Yeah, like her mind is still not her own.
Luckily, Julia can be brought inside of, oh, I've been manipulated. Oh, good. Like, it's almost this, oh, good. It explains why everything's going crazy. Because, Psycho tries and sends some sort of psychic attack to Vanessa.
To Julia? I think. Oh, no,
okay,
Vanessa. And then he starts controlling Julia. Or no, is that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. She tries attacking Diana, and Hermes stops her, thankfully. But Hermes then takes Julia away so Diana can work with Vanessa one-on-one, and it works. Diana is able to eventually get into Vanessa's mind and contact Psycho that way. Again, some great imagery here. I love the whole going inside Vanessa's mind thing. You see some more images of Vanessa's nightmares, including once again Deadite, Lucy Spears, and then Diana finds Dr. Psycho, goes after him, is attacked by who's this guy here? Oh, this is Helen's husband. That's right. Okay. And then because he's under Psycho's control as well. But
no, this isn't Helen's husband. This is Dr. Stanton. This is the therapist that Psycho.
Oh, that's right. Okay, wait, no. Why is he in Helen's house then?
No, this is the therapist's house. We haven't been to Helen's house.
Yes. Okay,
you're right. Helen was going to investigate because of a hunch. Again, the problem here is that there's so much juggling that it's hard to keep track of everything.
Yeah.
But Helen is attacked and lies bleeding on the bed.
And that's Psycho... the end of the issue.
Yeah.
It's kind of grim.
It's very grim, and the next two issues keep that grim tone.
Yeah. Well, first off, I love the cover of 56. Then, with Diana surrounded by the police there, it's really great. But
outlaws or victims.
And then I guess the title of the actual story answers that question. That's just really funny.
I will say, I really like that Diana's first instinct is to get this woman to a hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Now, while this has been going on, Amazons have been murdering people.
Mm-hmm.
Or not entirely of their own volition. It's not quite clear. It's not entirely clear if it's entirely Psycho. These two issues are the last big setup for War of the Gods. Is what they are.
And even though they don't have a lot to do with the plot outside of where Diana's position at the start of the final volume of the run,
yes,
which is still obviously very important. But it's not doing much setup for the actual story. It's just where is Diana?
It's putting the final pieces in place. I will say I actually quite liked these last two issues. Mainly because they were able to pull a focus and largely focus on Diana. There's some stuff with some other Amazons. Inspector Indelicato is back, who is being brought into the all of the archaeological murders, which is adding sort of our B plot with also with two of the Amazons. But I think what helps is that Perez is kind of clean slating this in a way to do a couple of plots and really focus in on telling a story.
Yeah, definitely.
In Gotham, there's been a murder spree from Amazons.
Mm-hmm.
We see just this triage. Joe Phillips is the guest penciler on this issue, and you just see this triage of all these beds of people bleeding out, people flatlining.
Oh yeah.
This massacre that just some Amazons started killing everybody. things are wrong. One of the Amazons is brought in, and is is being treated, but is potentially being treated as an animal as well.
Yeah.
Then we get Indelicado investigating Mrs. June Shams, whose husband is dead in the murders. It's very, very much, again, more grief, a lot of death.
We also then start following some of the Amazons as well, that are not as mind controlled, I suppose. They're basically
it's Yubo and Pythia who are, they are just trying to figure out what's going on in Gotham, and a lot of this takes place in Gotham. The cops actually go to Stanton's home, and they find Wonder Woman's lasso tied up to a chair. Dr. Psycho is just gone.
Mm-hmm.
He's just gone, which is a scary prospect.
And we do also follow we already went to the Amazons finding their way out. First of all, they also pick up machine guns, which is fun. I just like that image. Meanwhile, they are also at the hospital. Oh yeah, we do also see. I forgot, we see Jim Gordon here, which is a fun little
Gordon
cameo.
has a cameo. We're in Gotham, so he actually has a part to play in the next issue.
Yeah. It's fun. It's really fun. It's just great to see him because we're actually using the setting. It's not just a backdrop. It's nice. We then catch back up with Julia and also Horace
Westlake, who has been having this relationship with Julia, but we see his eyes have that white of Dr. Psycho. So things are going on. We don't quite know what happens to Julia, but Julia is gone. Diana's being arrested, and Vanessa is now left alone in her home. And it is, again, I think the chaotic energy of these two issues is what makes them work so well. It really integrates the chaos quite well, better than the last couple issues had.
Yeah, well, especially once Perez cleans up the whole Dr. Psycho thing. Once you're past that, I think Perez is able to move forward with just something a bit more straightforward. Well, it is still chaotic. It's just nice to see.
And then we take some focus on Diana because Helen Anderson
is not doing well.
Not doing well.
Yeah.
Her husband has been brought in, and it's very much like she's going to die, but maybe they can save the child.
Yeah.
And Diana offers to help and promises, "Let me help, and I will turn myself in." Basically. Yeah.
Which is a really great moment and does actually work. Diana's able to go into the operating room and first off, also weird trippy scene that involves Diana going inside her mind. It's weird.
It's supposed to represent her helping deliver the baby, and
it's weird. It's really weird. But it works. The baby is still delivered, and as it turns out, Helen's also going to be all right after all this. So how about that? But Diana is still turning herself over, and that is where the issue ends, bringing us into the final issue of this collection.
57.
Yes, which love the profile photo, the cover, which I really love. The Wanted for Murder poster, really cool. So open on a news broadcast, talking about everything that's happened. Wonder Woman is being taken in. We see her getting fingerprinted. She is taken into the police. A fair bit of this actually is also catching up on like some news broadcasting, like what the world thinks of all this, like what's going on. Which I appreciate that little touch. It's really nice. We also get some more Diana interacting with the detectives.
We find out we find out a lot in a very short period of time. Hippolyta's missing. Helena is very much in danger. Penelope has been arrested, along with others, and it's pure chaos and violence. Again, we have one Amazon casualty, and Indelicato is the one that's trying to just work with Diana through interrogation. They also seem to want to get Indelicato off the case because of his connection to Diana. She demands to see the Amazons, and Vanessa bursts into the police station because, again, Julia's missing. Like, everything is going weird.
Yeah.
And it's a really good weird, like, because it's like, what is...
Well, yeah, once again, you're watching the chaos unfold, but actually, importantly, in a comprehensive way. And yeah, it's really cool. It's really interesting to watch. Legit lost my page. Where are we?
We are at the bar fight scene.
Yes, the bar fight. That's right. Because
Yubo and Pythia are, fugitives from the law.
Once again, fucking machine guns.
They are at a bar. They get noticed, and a bar fight ensues. And they don't pull their punches, but they do seem to just knock everybody out.
Yeah, yeah. And they're able to get away. Thankfully. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
They do start shooting, but it's very much implied that they aren't in control of their actions. But so they have to run. We get some more news broadcasts, and with the news broadcast, we get a brief cameo from Bruce Wayne, and Alfred Pennyworth.
As you do.
This is Gotham. This is meant to be sort of worldwide. And while Diana's being brought in front of the police station, it's like she's cooperating with the investigation. She's making, there's a bunch of protesters, and someone in the crowd has a gun
and shoots, and Diana deflects it with her braces, and someone is fucking shot in the crowd.
Yeah, and
dies. And this is obviously the moment that is setting up, where Diana is going for the remainder of this run. Her status going into the final arc. We see
Clark and Lois are watching this on TV as everything is happening. Diana is allowed in with Jim Gordon to see the bodies of the dead Amazons and their claw marks, implying that Cheetah is loose. And there's basically no choice but to try to arrest Diana, and she won't take it. So Diana flies away, all while people are, Bruce and Clark. And I'm not sure who the third person is supposed to be.
Nor am I.
Basically,
I got nothing.
People are watching, and Diana just basically runs away, tries to collect as many Amazon allies that she can.
She's able to get
Penelope. She finds Yuboa and Pythia, and they all disappear as the world is turned against her.
And we end on this note with Steve that just seeing his reaction to the news, and we also find out that Hippolyta, Julia, and Hermes are all considered missing now. And yeah, that is the end of the issue and the end of the penultimate volume of Wonder Woman by George Perez.
Again, picks up right at the end.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, we'll finish that when we get back to this run eventually. Take some time off from it. I feel like we need it after these 2 volumes in particular, volume 5 especially. Definitely need that time off. So we'll do that.
Also, like it was touch and go there for a minute, but it pulls itself through.
It does stick the landing. Yeah, it really it's for a villain I love as much as Dr. Psycho. It's really his arc that just crushes the whole middle of this book for me.
Again, some of it feels like Perez is working to a deadline that he needs to meet to get his big event happening, and
most definitely.
I just don't think he had the support. He didn't have the support he needed.
No way. Yeah. So yeah.
And Jill Thompson's art through the Dr. Psycho stuff is fantastic.
He's so creepy. Yeah, it's really good stuff.
She does the surrealism really well. I do like that Perez is trying to maintain hope throughout, even as the chaos really unfolds. Again, there are just those, we talked about them, those decisions on when the actual mind control happens and how it could cheapen some actual interesting character moments. That's just the problem. I'd still recommend it, especially if you're reading this run. Like, it's still good. It's just not as good as the rest of it.
Yeah, definitely. But anyway, that's that. That was volume 5. And that is, I feel like I have to keep saying the number to myself. Episode 66 of the podcast. My God, that's insane to me. How did we do this?
One episode at a time. At a time.
Literally. And I gotta say, I was just talking with you before we started recording the episode. The podcast has been doing particularly well on the non-YouTube platforms, which it doesn't typically do amazing on the other platforms. But a huge thank you to the people that listen to us on those platforms. You guys are awesome. Thanks for all the support.
And if you're a listener on the platforms and you want to connect with us, we do mention our socials down below. So
our link trees are there. Anywhere that you want to follow us. Usually, Twitter's the best way to reach us.
Reaching out. Twitter, and for me, Twitter and Blue Sky are probably your best bet.
I rarely ever use Blue Sky, but I do have it. It's there. It's in my link tree. So so check all that out. But Jacob.
Yeah.
I gotta know what you think our next 2-episode block is.
Well, we need to bring back the Pepe Sylvia board.
Okay, all right. Okay. Bring out the board. Wheel it out. Get your markers and
here's the thing. These last 3 blocks, including this one, right, have kind of connected. The first 2 connected by both being Morrison. The first 3 connected by being the Trinity. Now, I propose we are making another 2-block connection between this one and the next one.
Oh, wow.
The connection being George Perez, and we're going to do the New Teen Titans Volume 4? We're on 4, right? Yeah.
That would be our next one. Is that your guess?
That's my guess.
So Volume 4 would be our next one if you were correct, but you're not.
Oh, I'm wrong.
You're wrong. You're wrong, bitch. Haha. Oh man, I finally got you on one of your guesses. That feels nice.
At least I have logic, though.
Yeah, that makes sense. But in fact, let's call it rather a Justice Leaguer block altogether. Let's continue our Justice Leaguer thing.
Okay.
Want to read some Green Lantern?
Yeah. Yes.
Let's read some Green Lantern. Let's go. All right.
God,
Next time on, it's been awesome since we've done some Green Lantern, especially since we've actually continued our proper Green Lantern stuff. Because last time we did GL, it was Secret Origin, and that obviously doesn't continue Sinestro Corps War. But we got a big one next time in our 2 episodes.
Yeah.
So next episode, we're doing the next 2 trades in the Johns run. It'll be Rage of the Red Lanterns and Agent Orange. I think it's 11 issues altogether. It's Johns. It's a breeze. Don't worry. But that makes the following episode 68, Blackest Night.
Oh shit!
Yeah. So it just follow the Omni pretty much. The Omni does a perfect job of collecting both the main Blackest Night event and all the GL tie-ins and collecting them in chronological order. It's really nice. I love the way the Omni does it. That's that. Man. I am so excited for our next block. Having reread Rage of the Red Lanterns and Agent Orange. It's a great time. So
wait, hang on. Will this also complete the second Omni?
We're reading the rest of the second Omni. Yeah.
Okay, dear listeners.
Oh no, you're fucking Goodreads.
I on Goodreads have been tracking Omnis, and I have just a bloated list of started Omnis because we've started so many. And what's funny is the Green Lantern by Jeff Johns Volume 2, since we did Secret Origin, is at 0% because Secret Origin.
You have to go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
But hey, on the bright side, when you do get back to Secret Origin, you get to skip 7 issues straight. So
I do. But I also will now get to complete one of those books.
Yay! Congratulations. But yeah, that'll be next time.
Yeah.
So that next 2 times, which I'm so excited about. Oh my god, it's gonna be fun. Very excited. But otherwise, I guess links for that and the book we read today, the Amazon links will all be in the description below. I'll put the Omni down there because the trades for the John's GL run are kind of hard to find. So just get the Omni. It's the best way to read the run, minus the Brightest Day stuff, I would say. But and just get the Brightest Day Omni. Beside the point. Anyway, so yeah, all that's there. Promotion wise, what do you got going on, Jacob?
Well, okay. I have been doing mainly my blog, a bunch of reviews there. Currently, I have been reviewing a bunch of sci-fi and fantasy, a bunch of Star Wars books, some Doctor Who Target novels, amongst Doctor Who EDA and PDA reviews are also back intermittently, as well as Star Trek reviews. This is the point of this episode. I will have just reviewed all our yesterdays,
which means next Saturday is the end of TOS.
I did because I was able to find a copy. I am going to be doing something in between TOS and TAS for one episode.
Are you doing the Cage?
Yeah, I'm going to do the Cage.
Yes,
I found a copy of the Cage.
Nice, awesome, sweet. Yeah, that'll be fun. Yeah, and actually, same goes for our videos. Actually, that me and my brother do. We'll be watching the Cage as well between TOS and the animated series, which we'll be watching next. Actually, plus me and my brother also have a top 10 video of TOS coming out the day after our Cage video comes out. So check all that out. So
I will be including probably my top and bottom 10, like I have been at the end of each season. I've been doing, so I'll be doing it at the end of Turnabout Intruder. Because despite the Cage being there, I don't think it really counts.
Yeah, well, that and also it has absolutely no chance in being in a top 10, I would say.
Based off of the footage that I have seen in the Menagerie.
Here's the thing. The Menagerie includes pretty much all of the Cage. So you've pretty much seen it already. But it's been a while. So watch it again. And it's a very different experience as a complete episode rather than split up by the stuff in the Menagerie, I would say. So plus it's kind of a fun time. Anyway, that's that. Otherwise, promotions are subscribe to Blooded Studios, where we do Star Trek, obviously. We also do Fresh Face One Shots, me and Jacob. We've been covering Superman by Joshua Williamson, which is in a big crossover event right now called House of Brainiac with Action Comics.
Which I believe will have just released our video on.
Yes, Superman number 13, which is House of Brainiac Part 2. That video just came out yesterday. If you're watching this on release day, / listening to this. We also cover Wonder Woman by Tom King, which the video for that will be out tomorrow if you're watching this on release day, so that'll be Tuesday. And then Batman Brave and the Bold by Various, which comes out the week that this comes out, so that'll be out at the end of the week, maybe
sometime at the end of the week, as well as I believe
the House of Brainiac
special should be out.
Yep, yeah. So check all that out. That's all there. Otherwise, also we do Breaking Brian, which has finally its Better Call Saul season 5 video coming out towards the end of this month. So check that out when that comes out. And also R2BD has a new episode coming out early mid-May, somewhere around there. Basically, once Bad Batch season 3 is over, we're gonna record it and try to get it edited as fast as possible, and that'll all be out then. And I think that does it. That's actually it. Okay, cool. Go us. Wherever you're listening to us, be sure to leave a rating, subscribe, follow us, comment, whatever you got to do to show your support. Yeah, I guess that about does it. Thanks so much for listening, guys. And I guess until next time, this has been Joey Morgan.
And Jacob Licklider.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.